Om Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. We are studying the commentary of the fourth sutra of Shariraka Mimamsa Shastra or Chatussutri, known as Brahma-Sutra Chatussutri by Badarayana Vyas. And what is the present position? The position is that due to different chapters, Karma, Upasana and Gyan have been separated. Now, Karma is the gross karma, and from that the difference has been shown. Then Upasana is Manasik karma, and from that also difference has been shown because it is also karma. But then there may be a more subtle karma because we accept, the opponent says that we accept that Veda or the Shastras are the means of knowing Brahman. We accept, but not in the way in which you are telling. Because they tell us to do something to get that knowledge. So again, doing is involved. And we feel that from the very nature of the Jnana Prakaran, for example, Atma Vijigyasitavyaha, Atma iti eva upasita, Atmanam eva lokam upasita, and by Shravan only does not happen because Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nididhyasitavyaha. So, and the very beginning is Atma Vayare Drashtavyaha. So, all these tell us that something is to be done. Now, if that is accepted, then main psychological point involved is I am the doer. And if I am the doer, then that cannot lead to Brahmajnana. That is to be told. So, this position by the words of Upanishads has been mentioned that everywhere it appears as if something has to be done. To that now the reply starts. And before giving a direct reply to those arguments, the method, the right method always, Vedantic method is to first of all understand what is the Vedantic position. First of all, let us understand the nature of Brahman. First of all, let us understand anatomy of mukti. What is the inner constitution of mukti? First, let us understand that. And then in the light of that, we shall see whether your statements are all right or not. That is the method. So now, and this understanding is also in comparison with karma phalas. So that is the main point now, that previously he had said that Dharma Jnana Phalat Anushtana Apekshat Vilakshanam Brahma Jnana Phalam Bhavitumarati. That the Dharma Jnana Phala is we get after doing something. And Brahma Jnana Phala we get immediately on the Vedic Tattvamasi itself. But he says no, that difference we do not accept because in Brahma Jnana also something has to be done. Now, for replying that, he builds up his case first. Atra abhidiyate. Where in the Bhashya at this point, Atra abhidiyate. Here is our reply. No, your position is not correct. That something has to be done, this position is not correct. Karma Brahma Vidya Falayo Vailakshanyat. The fruits of Karma Vidya and Brahma Vidya are totally of a different nature. So he will explain what are the fruits of karma, and then he will show what are the fruits of vidya. So he has stated that karma brahma vidya falayoho vailakshanya. There he had told the method of getting that phala is different. Karma you have to do and then you get the fruit. And vidya on listening you get the fruit. But that being not accepted, he says now the very nature of fruit is different, not only the method. And what is that? Shariram vachikam manasam cha karma shruti smriti siddham dharma akyam yad vishaya jigyasa atha dharma jigyasa iti sutrita. Take the Jaiminis Dharma Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, the full Shastras. And how it starts? Either vocal work, mental work, or physical work. Physical work, vocal work, or mental work directed by Shruti or Smriti. And it is called Punya or good work. About that, the Jigyasa was there. The Jigyasa, Atha Dharma Jigyasa. Now let us analyze, Gemini says, now let us analyze the Punya and Pap. That was the main point. And what is this Punya? Something to be done by body or by your speech or by mind even. All these are included in doing something. And the mandate will be from the Upanishads or some Smritis. That was called Punya. And this Punya was inquired by Jaimini. Now it is the nature of that Punya and its fruit. So he very critically analyzes the work and its fruit. Whatever be the nature of the work, whether mental, physical, vocal, physical, mental, whatever may be the nature of the work, but where I am doing something is involved, what is the nature of the fruit? We are not saying that the process of getting the fruit, but what is the nature of the fruit? And then one more point is discussed in Jaimini Sutras, what should not be done. That also is discussed. Adharma api hinsa adi pratisheda chodana lakshanatva jigyasa pariharaya. While doing good work, we are also to be careful not to do any bad work. So, pariharaya, we have to give up bad work. And so, bad work also has to be understood. What is bad? For example, killing, etc. Killing, etc. is a bad work. Except for in yajna, that is a different thing. But killing anybody in general is a bad work. And there are so many bad works. We do not know it is good or bad. So Vedas have to tell us that this is a bad work. Pratisheda Chodana Lakshanatvat. Chodana means the Vedic sentences. Pratisheda means they are prohibiting us from doing something. That is the nature. And that also has to be inquired because we have to give up them. So this is the do's and don'ts of the Karma Kanda, including Upasana Kanda, whether the work is physical, vocal, or mental, or something to be prohibited, that is their nature. Tayo Chodana Lakshanayo, Chodana Lakshanayo means told by Vedas. Artha Anarthayo, both good and evil. Dharma Dharmayo, that is called Punya and Pap. Phale Pratyakshe, and how we experience their fruit. We experience their fruit directly, sukha dukkhe, in the form of happiness and misery. This is the whole of karma kanda and upasana kanda. That if you want happiness, if you want to avoid misery, do this and do not do that. Sharira vak manovi eva upabhujyamane. Now, how do we experience this pleasure and pain? It is going to deeper analysis now. That we experience through our body, speech and mind only. Eva upabhujyamane. We experience the fruit of pleasure and fruit in the form of pleasure or pain by our body, by our vani, or by our mind. In no other way, not in our swarupa, but only by the body, speech or mind. Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga Janne, and it is always of the type of organs coming in contact with the objects. He is analyzing the sukha dukkha obtained by punya or pap as designated by the Vedas, karma kanda or upasana kanda. And there he says that we get that, experience it on our body, vani or mind, and always of the nature of indriya coming in contact with the object. Sukha or dukkha both. Brahma adishu sthavaranteshu prasiddhe. The highest sukh is in Brahmalok, or what the creator Brahma himself does. And sthavaranteshu, range is that if you do bad work, you will become stock and stone. You will become like a tree, immovable object. Or if you are doing good work, you may rise as high as Brahma. So the entire field of the fruit of karma is being discussed totally. Entire field of the fruits of karma, physical, vocal or mental, fruits experience physically, vocally or mentally, of the nature of punya and pleasure and pain, always of the nature of contact between indriyas and organs, right from Brahma up to sthavarante, blade of grass we may say, or stock and stone, or like trees. This is the range of all the sukha dukkha. That is famous, is it? Evident, famous. Manusyatvat arabhya brahma anteshu dvaya vatsu sukha taratamyam anubhuyate. Now he makes two parts of this. From man up to Brahma and from man up to tree, like that. So, from man up to Brahma, let us take Devatsu. The main point is that they have a body. Man has a body, Brahma has a body. Sukha taratamyam anushruyate. And we hear that man gets a little pleasure. In the higher lokas, Pitru lokas, he gets 100 times pleasure. And the other lokas, he gets higher and higher pleasure. And in Brahma loka, he gets maximum pleasure. So, taratamyam, less or moreness of sukha, we understand from man's body right up to Brahma's body. Dharma taratamyat adhikar tatcha tata cha tad heto dharmasya taratamyam gamyate. Why will there be this difference? Because the difference is in punya. If you are doing punya, good work of a higher type, you will get a higher pleasure. If you are doing punya of a lower type, you will get a pleasure of a lower type. So, from the fruits, from the comparative nature of the sukha obtained as fruit, we understand that there is less or more in the punya also which you are doing. Logically, it is easy to understand according to the intensity or the quality of punya which you are doing, you will get pleasure less or more. Dharma taratamyat adhikari taratamyam. Now, why you are able to do this much punya or not that punya? Because your capacity is like that. Adhikari taratamya. If you can do more punya, you would have done that. So, this less or more is understood in the pleasure, less or more is understood in the punya, less or more is understood in the doer of the punya. Adhikari here means doer of the punya. His capacity, why less or more? Prasiddham cha arthitvam samarthyam adhikrutam adhikari taratamyam. There are some more points, but the main point is that arthitva. Arthitva means the desire. You will see the world, people in the world, those who are karmakandis, they just feel, let us go to heaven. They don't feel we shall go to higher loka, we shall go to Brahma loka, we shall go to Deva loka, which is much higher. Their very desire is that much. Their aims are lower. And samarthya. Now, you may think we will go to Brahma loka, but for that you have to do Ashwamedha Yajna. For that you have to do upasanas of very higher type. You are not capable of doing that. Everybody is not capable of doing all the works. So, the very desires are for smaller or bigger happinesses, and the ability also is there for lesser or more happiness. This is called adhikari taratamyam, the lesser or more of the man who does that punya. And then, according to the punya done, he gets less or more pleasure. Less or more pleasure is evident from man to Brahma. This is due to less or more intensity of punya, which is again due to less or more desire and less or more capacity to do that. Tathacha, example, yagadi anushtayanam eva vidya samadhi visheshat uttarena pathagamanam. Yagadi anushtayanam eva, yagadi. You are doing yajna or some other good work. Vidya samadhi visheshat. Now, whether you have cultivating some knowledge and you are doing some upasana to gain more concentration, visheshat, according to that, you go to the northern path. Punya karmis are divided into those who go by the northern path and southern path. Northern path is punya along with some knowledge, punya along with some upasana, punya along with the practice of samadhi, punya along with the practice of concentration and absorption. Not only theoretical knowledge, but knowledge of some devata, knowledge of Ishvara up to, and to get that knowledge, you have done some upasana. And by that, you have gained some lot of concentration. That is samadhi. Concentration or absorption. And you are doing karma also. Then only you are qualified to go by the northern path. Kevalaihi ishta apurta datta sadhanaihi. Kevalai means without this knowledge or upasana or practice of concentration. Ishta apurta. Ishta means work declared by the Vedas, and apurta means good work declared by the Smritis. Ishta means through yajna, apurta means public good you are doing. You are digging tanks or like that, making parks for the public good. So either this work you are doing or that work, without trying to get some knowledge, without trying to make the mind concentrated, Dakshinana Pathagamanam, you go by the southern path to the Pitruloka. And that formula, that table we know, that the best happiness which a man can have, if he is unbridled emperor of the entire world, and he is Ashishta, Dridishta, Balishta, he is quite strong, desirous, hope, optimistic person, that is called 1 unit of human knowledge, 1 unit of human joy. Not our Tom, Dick and Harry's very ordinary, trifling joys. And 100 times of that is obtained if you go to Pitraloka. And so, and 100 times that if you go to Gandharvaloka, and 100 times that, and 100 times that, like that, a big chart is given up to you reach Brahmaloka. So, this Dakshinena Patha, Tatrapi Sukataratamyam. And there also, according to the loka you have gone, your sukha will be less or more. That sadhana taratamyam cha. That means the means you adopted also are less or more. Shastra. And how long will you enjoy that pleasure? That also your scriptures are telling. Yavat sampatam ushitva iti asmat gamyate. In the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a clear statement, till your virtue lasts. So the good karma is finite and it will get exhausted one day. So you are getting pleasure, less or more. But how long? Till your good work exhausts. That is clearly told by the Shastra. So this is one series. Man, higher lokas, devalokas, brahmalokas, and that much duration till your work, good work lasts. Now take the other series. Tatha Manushya Adishu Narata Stavaranteshu. There are 2 descriptions. In the Puranas mainly, Naraka. There is description of Naraka, hell. In Vedanta proper, hardly there is any mention of Naraka. But the mention is of you will go to lower species, Stavaranteshu. You may become plant or tree or grass or even stock or stone, immobile objects. So either hell or up to immobile object starting from man. Sukhalava chodana lakshana dharma sadhya eva iti gamyate. That means you are getting that due to bad works. But do you not have some pleasure? Particle of pleasure, very small pleasure. So he is measuring everything by pleasure. Manushya happiness, higher and higher happiness up to Brahmaloka. Manushya happiness, less and less and less and less of happiness up to Savar. And this dharma sadhya eva. So the principle is like this. Whatever good work you will do, it necessarily contains some evil work. No work is 10% good. No work is 10% bad. So you may be doing bad work every day, apparently, but every bad work includes some good work. That is the very science of work. There cannot be any perfect work. Even doing the best of work, Swami Vivekananda has given an example. I am talking to you, you will call what is bad in that, but the microbes of the air are dying. It is a bad work. Similarly, if you are doing the very bad work of killing somebody, you are reducing the population and you are giving more pleasure to people. So, this worst work also has something good in that. Best work also has something bad in that. So here also, Chodana Lakshana Dharma Sadhya eva. So though it is you are doing bad work, prohibited work, but in that something good you are doing. Iti gamyate taratamena vartamana. And comparatively it will be less and less and less and less. But there will be something. So first, Sukha. Man up to Brahmaloka higher and higher. Man up to lowest, less and less and less. Some Sukha is there. Tata Urdhva Gateshu, Adha Gateshu cha Devatsu. Dukkha Taratamya Darshanat. Tad heto adharmasya pratisheda chodana lakshanasya tad anushthayinam cha taratamyam gamyate. Now take both those who have gone higher up to Brahma and those who have gone down up to Narak or Savar. There, pain is there. Don't think Brahma has no pain. Don't think that in higher loka there is no pain. Pain is there. But less and less and less pain. And below, more and more and more pain. So that is evident. That anushthayinam cha. So the person's doership, the man who is doing that work, so he is also good and better and better and better. He is also bad and worse and worse and worse. It is very clear that he is getting dukkha more and more, or less and less and less. So the doer also is like that. So both sukha and dukkha, sukha increases, dukkha decreases, sukha decreases, dukkha increases. The doer is doing more and more punya, the doer is doing more and more bad works. So this is the comparative statement. Everywhere measurable comparative pleasure and pains are there. Evam avidya adi doshavatam dharma adharma taratamya nimittam sharira upadana purvakam sukha dukkha taratamyam anityam sansara rupam shruti smriti nyaya prasiddham. So shrutis also tell the same thing, smritis also tell the something. Nyaya means common logic also will tell that ki those who have avidya, those avidya here represented by I am the doer. Avidya adi doshavata, and it gives many more defects, imperfections. Once we think we are the doer, many more imperfections also are there. And for them, such a man only does punya and pa. Less or more by his body, and the pleasure or pain he experiences also is by his body. Sukha and dukkha less and more. All this is called the anitya sansar, not permanent, moving, changing, transmigratory world. This is what the Shrutis and Smritis have told you. Shrutis, Smritis and common logic tells you that wherever you go higher and higher, where you go lower and lower, this is the transmigratory sansar. This is the changing temporarily, changing continuously sansar. So right up to Brahma, up to immobile object, that is the transmigratory world. Tathacha Shruti. He said that Shruti, Smriti, common logic also tells that. So he's quoting now Shruti. Na vai sasharirasya sata priya apriyayo apahati asti. Chandogya Upanishad clearly tells us, so long as we have a body consciousness, so long as we possess a body, so long as we have a body, that means we have the body consciousness. Till then, this pleasure and pain, you have no freedom from pleasure and pain. You are not liberated from pleasure and pain, is very clearly told by the Chandogya Upanishad. Iti yatha varnitam sansara rupam anuvadati. Yatha varnitam, as we have just now told about the transmigration, that is what is told. Chandogya Upanishad is telling you. Chandogya Upanishad is anuvadati, telling you the same thing. Yatha varnitam sansara rupam, it is of the nature of transmigratory world, as we have described now. How? So long as you have a body. Brahma has a body, tree has a body. Man has a body, stock and stones have bodies. Devatas have bodies, angels have bodies, Pitrulokas they have bodies. So long as you have a body, there is no release from pleasure and pain. It is a very clear statement of the Chandogya Upanishad. Now, on the other hand, so he has, in detail, he has told the effects of karma. Now, he tells the effect of jnana. Ashariram vai vasantam na priya priya sprushata. Chandogya Upanishad there itself, in the same mantra, so long as you are body conscious, you have no release from pleasure and pain. And if you have no body consciousness, you are not touched by pleasure and pain. Ashariram vai vasantam. Vasantam is living. Living as bodiless persons. Living as bodiless persons, the pleasure and pain will not touch you at all. Iti priya priya sparshana pratisheda. What is negated there? The very touch of pleasure and pain is negated. Chodana lakshana dharma karyatvam moksha akyasya asharirattasya pratishiddhate iti gamyate. What is moksha? Ashariratva is moksha. Bodilessness is moksha. Atman has no body. Brahman has no body. Atman is pure spirit. Brahman is pure spirit. They have absolutely no body. And that is moksha. The name moksha is given to, the name freedom is given to the bodilessness. And bodilessness cannot come by work. Chodana lakshana dharma karyatvam pratishiddhate. Chodana lakshana dharma karyatvam, the Vedic mandate for doing some good work. From that, this ashariratvam is excluded or not. All the chodana for good work will make you have a body and enjoy less or more happiness. The full range is through the body. And it is also declared that if you are without a body, if you have the knowledge of Atman, then you don't have a body. And this bodiless, if you are, pleasure and pain cannot touch you. So is it not made clear there itself? That so long as you are doing karma, you have a body and pleasure and pain are inevitable. But if you have the knowledge of Atman, then that you are the spirit, you are the universal spirit, you are the individual spirit. If you have this knowledge, then there is no body connection and then there is no pleasure and pain. So this bodilessness cannot be obtained by work is very clear. Understood? This is the turning point. That dharma karyatvam, chodana lakshana dharma karyatvam. Vedas tell you to do some karma and you have done some karma. Outside this range comes moksha. Because moksha is bodilessness. And bodilessness cannot come by karma. So we see that bodilessness cannot come by karma is being told by the Vedas. Dharma karyatvehi priya apriya sparshana pratishedo na upapadyate. If it is the effect of punya or pap, then that pleasure and pain no touch. This is not possible. Pleasure and pain will not touch you if you are bodiless. So, that is not the effect of work. Effect of work is a body with higher or lower pressure. Effect of work is not bodilessness. So, in bodiless when you are, then there is no pleasure or pain. Now, a counter argument comes up in our mind. Ashariratvam eva dharma karyamiti chet. Why not this bodilessness coming by good work? You have shown that work leads to body. But there can be some work by which we get bodilessness. And we are told that jnana is that work. You should get knowledge, you should listen, you should think. So all these are leading to bodilessness. That is the point. Now here we have to go enter a little more deep. No, that's just swabhavikatvat. Bodilessness is the nature of Atman. It does not depend upon your doing something. That is the main point. Main point is that bodilessness is the nature of Atman. Atman cannot have any touch with the body. That we saw right from the preface. That Atman being consciousness can have absolutely nothing to do with body. Atman has something to do with the body itself is called adhyasa, superimposition or wrong knowledge. That we saw in the preface itself. And so, that is, bodilessness is nature of Atman. Bodilessness is nature of Brahman. Bodilessness is our real nature. So, it is not the effect of something punya. Our real nature cannot be the effect of punya or good works. Good works cannot lead us to moksha because moksha is our real nature and real nature cannot be produced by doing something. And it is clearly said, we may appear to have bodies, but that is not our real nature. Kathopanishad tells, ashariram sharireshu anavasteshu avasthitam mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhira nashochati. Kathopanishad is telling, our real nature is without bodilessness. We appear to live in the body. We appear to live in the body, but if we know that we have no body. Anavasteshu avasthitam. Our bodies, our worldly existence is ever changing. We are not changing. Mahantam, we are all pervading. Vibhum also means all pervading. Atmanam matva, knowing that is the real nature of ourself. Dhira na shochati. So the wise man does not have any grief because he knows that he is the all-pervading self, though appearing to live in the temporary bodies. Bodies are temporary. We are without a body. We are permanent. We are all-pervading. That is our real nature. So if you know that real nature, apranahi amana shubra. So Prana is the first function of body. We breathe, we live, we have animation. Atman does not have animation. Atman does not breathe or live. Atman is pure consciousness. Amana. And all our activities are done by our mind. Atman has no mind also. Shubhra, so it is pure. Atman is pure because it is not polluted by pranas, the heart functions, lung functions, living, breathing, distributing the blood, distributing the food. Nothing is connected with Atman and no mind also. So it is pure. And Brihadaranyaka tells in more emphatic language, Asangaha Yayam Purusha. This Purusha, this being, has no touch with anything. It is not attached to anything. It does not have any touch with anything. That is very clear. That is the real nature of man. The real nature of man is this. Ata eva anushtaya karma phala vilakshana mokshakhyam ashariratvam nityam iti siddham. So what we have proved? That what is moksha? Name moksha is given to what? Bodilessness. Name moksha is given to what? Our own real nature which is permanent. Is it not different from you do some work and get its fruit? Whether good or bad, you do some work and get its fruit means body, whether body of a stock and stone or tree, or body of a man or body of Brahma, but you are getting a body by doing some work. Is this of not very different type? Is it not very vilakshanama? Because there are no differences. So, different characteristics of moksha. Moksha is bodilessness, that is our real nature. Moksha is permanent, that is our real nature. So it is of a different category than any body given by karma, good or bad. That is why I had first of all analyzed the good or bad work and told that it gives a body, either man's body or Devaloka or Pitraloka or Brahma's body or animal's body or serpent body or bird's body or stock and stone body or body in the Naraka. So that is very different from bodilessness. And everywhere the Atman has no touch with the body. And Atman has no touch with the body. That is the real nature of Atman. So it is not produced by any work. It is a very real nature of Atman. And that is permanent. That is bodilessness. This is what we have proved. Now, one word you take nityam, permanent. Permanency is of two types in the word. Analytical is putting now. Permanency of two types in the world, remember. Tatra kinchit parinami nityam yasmin vikriyamane api tateva idam iti buddhi navayannate. Changingly permanent. That means though it changes, we feel it is the same. There are tatra kinchit, there are certain things, parinami nityam, changing but permanent. Yasmin, about them, vikriyamane api, though they are changing, tateva idam iti buddhi. Our consciousness is that this is the same thing. Na vyannate, that is not destroyed. Example, yatha prithvi adi jagat nityatva vadinam yatha cha sankyanam guna. Earth. Those who think this world is permanent, They think that earth goes on changing, but earth is earth. That type of permanency. And the Sankhya feels that everything is made of Sattva Rajatam. Less or more, balance or disturbed, but Sattva Rajatam are always there. But though changing, though less or more, though balanced or disturbed, but they are the same. So this is called changingly permanent. For those who think world to be real, Prithvi is changingly permanent. Those who think that everything is made by Sattva-Rajatama, for them Sattva-Rajatama are changingly permanent. Idam tu. But the permanency which we have declared, the ashariratva, bodilessness, which is our very nature, idam tu. But this, paramarthikam, ultimately unchanging, kutastham nityam, unchangingly permanent. Unchangingly permanent. Vyomavat sarva vyapi. And why it is permanent? Because it is all pervading. It is reference to Gita Chapter 2, Shloka 17. Very important point this is. In the 16th Shloka it is said that that which is real is always real, that which is changing is never real. But what is that? That which is universal. That only is unchanging, that only is indestructible. Because there is a wrong concept in many people. When we say Atman is permanent, something like a granite stone is kept in our heart. No. Example is given, it cannot cut by sword, it cannot be burned, it cannot be dried or wet. You take a sword and you will be able to cut it. You take some harder substance, you will be able to cut it. If you take aqua regia, it will melt. Then take the example of the universal space. You move a sword through it, it will not get cut. If you burn it, it will not get burned. If you put water in it, it will not become wet. If you put hair in it, it will not become dry. Because it is universal. So it is universal only. So that is our real nature, mind you. Our real nature is not some soul contained in the body, not at all. Our real nature is that soul which is universal. Our real nature is that spirit which is universal. Our real nature is that consciousness which has no dimensions. And so, you have to understand, Nitya Triptam, another point of our real nature. Oh, wonderful. We are always satisfied. We are always satisfied. Now in Puranas, Shiva is told Ashutosh, quickly become pleased. He is always pleased. Quickly appears to become pleased because you have done something. For your sake, he is pleased. In itself, he is always happy. We see Sri Ramakrishna, we see all his disciples, they are always happy. Unhappiness cannot touch them. Here the question is not happiness, satisfied. Nitya Triptam. We are satisfied by eating food and again we become dissatisfied. We are satisfied when we get something desirable. Again we become dissatisfied. But that which is unchanging, that which is universal, sarva vikriya rahitam, it does not undergo any change whatsoever. Nitya triptam, it is always satisfied. Niravayavam, it has no parts. Swayam Jyoti, conscious by its own light, Sabhavam. So, remember, all solutions in Vedanta come only by deriving them from the nature of Brahman. from the nature of Atman. And if we think from this position, problems come. If you think from that position, you will get the solution of everything. So, idam means this ashariratva called moksha, which is our real nature. Paramarthikam kutastham nityam, ultimately, unchangingly permanent. Vyomavat sarvavyapi, all pervading like this space. Sarva vikriya rahitam, without undergoing any change whatsoever. Nitya truptam, always satisfied. Niravayam, partless. Swayam Jyoti, consciousness by itself. Swabhava, that is very nature. Yatra dharma adharmo sahakarena kalatrayam channa upavartate. Now tell us, has punya or pap any entry there? Tell us whether past, present or future has any entry there. Past, present or future come only in changing things. Punya comes or papa comes only when the body, when changingly permanent things are there. But in this real nature of Atman, which has no parts, which is ever satisfied, no entry for punya and pap, no sahakaryena, that means pleasure and pain. No entry of punya and pap, no entry of their effect, which is pleasure and pain, no entry of past, present and future in that. Tat etat ashariratvam mokshakyam. This bodilessness is called moksha. I will get moksha, I will go to some Vaikuntha or Kailash. That is not moksha. If I have body, that body is destructible. If I get some result of fruit, that fruit will get exhausted. If I have got some relative knowledge or upasana, that will get destroyed. But bodilessness is moksha. Ata tad brahma yasya iyam jigyasa prastuta. Their search was for that punya, which gives you higher or lower joy. Here the search is for that Brahman, which is your real nature. Which is our real nature, which has no change, which is always satisfied. That is our real nature, and that is being inquired into. We have a keen desire to realize that. For that, this Uttara Mimamsa has started. Ujjigansa Prastuta. The inquiry or the desire to know that real nature, that is what Vyasadeva has started in this Uttara Mimamsa or Sharirika Mimamsa Shastra. Tad yadi kartavya sheshatvena upadishyata, if it is told as a part of some duty, tena cha kartavyena sadhya chet moksham abhipagammeta anityevasya. And by that duty, if you are getting the result of moksha, it has to be temporary. Tatra evam sati, because it is like this, yatha ukta karma phaleshu eva taratamya avastiteshu anityeshu kaschit atishaya moksha iti prasajyat. What is your moksha? Going to Vaikuntha, going to Kailash, going to Brahmalok. That means relatively less or more, maybe maximum. Atishaya, kaschit atishaya, maximum. Taratamya avastiteshu anityeshu. Less and more, which are present in a series of less and more, anitya, all are temporary. In that, the maximum will be moksha. That is the common Vaishnava or Shaiva idea of moksha. We'll go to Brahmalok, we'll go to Vaikuntha and stay there permanently. Yes, permanently till one kalpa. Permanently till your punya gets exhausted. And Vedanta has very clearly told about it. Nityacha moksha sarva mokshavaadivi abhyupagamyate. And let anybody who talks of moksha, does he not tell that moksha is permanent? So this long lasting cannot be permanent. This you should understand. Going to any loka cannot be permanent. All the mokshavaadis, they think of a permanent moksha. There are very gross sampradayas born these days. I hope you have heard of Prajapita Brahma Kumaris. They say moksha is for 5,000 years. Again, you have to come to the sansar. What a hopeless idea of moksha is that? If moksha is for 5,000 years, Brahmaloka is for one kalpa. Going to any devata will be much more than 5,000 years. So, Shankara is saying, moksha is always taken as permanent. Ata na kartavya sheshetvena brahma upadesha yukta. So, Brahman cannot be taught as a part of something to be done. That is not logical. Now see the Vedic statements about Brahman. Atra apicha, and also Brahma Veda Brahma eva bhavati. One who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. In between, there is no time gap. Shiyante cha asya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. If you know the Nirguna and Sagun Brahma, mind you, if you know the Nirguna and Sagun Brahma, then your karmas get exhausted. There is no play now. If you experience the Nirgun Sagun Brahma, Anandam Brahmana Vidwan Nabhiveti Kutaschana. Brahman is of the very nature of Ananda. And if you realize that Ananda Brahman will not be afraid of anything, anywhere, one imperfection is shown as the representative. You will have no imperfection. You will have no fear. Means you will have no imperfection from whatsoever. Abhayam vai janaka prapta. See, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, when Yajnavalkya teaches Janaka fully, then it is, you have got abhaya now. You have got fearlessness. Tad atmanam eva aved, aham brahma asmi iti. Brahman, what did he know? That he became all. He knew himself that I am Brahman. Iti tasmat tat sarvam abhavat. He became everything. Tatra ka moha ka shoka ekatvam anupashyata. One who sees oneness, for him there is no shoka, no moha, no imperfection. Iti evam adhyashrutaya Brahma Vidya anantaram moksham darshayanta madhya karyantaram varayanti. So all the Shrutis, Brahma Vidya, immediately. Anantaram means immediately. Immediately without a gap. After Brahma Vidya, they show the moksha. Madhya karyantaram varayanti. In between, nothing intervenes. In between, you don't get something and then get to moksha. No. The knowledge, change of consciousness itself, immediately you get moksha. That is what all the Shrutis are telling us. We'll take up this theme on the next Wednesday. One or two sentences I could have read. Tatha tad hai etat pashyan Rishi Vamadeva. I think we'll take it on the next turn. We are shooting our time. Otherwise, this theme that immediately we get Brahman is to be discussed. We'll take this theme on the next Wednesday. Om Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam.